Hi, and welcome to Sci-Fi Fans. And in this week, I'm talking to you. Hi, and welcome back to Sci-Fi Fans. This episode is all about 80s swashbuckling and heroic, what are they called? Barbarian movies, if there's such a thing as a heroic barbarian. I think there is, and I think these films highlight the fact that there is as well. So one of the most one of the most recognizable barbarians is obviously Conan, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Conan the Barbarian has been made into various spin-offs and remakes, but we're going to go back to the 1980s and delve into the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I think came out in 1982, 83. But anyway, let's jump in. Conan the Barbarian was Arnold Schwarzenegger's breakout role, and this is what helped propel him to international stardom. Not only the fact that he was also a well known bodybuilder at the time, but this was one of his early films and is considered his breakout role. The film is based on a character created by Robert E. Howard in 1932. So, not a new story, it was a classic comic book that had been adapted. The screenplay was co-written by Oliver Stone and John Millis. The movie was filmed in Spain, utilising its diverse landscape to create the world of Conan, and they really kind of nailed the landscape. I think it's kind of like Lord of the Rings. I can't imagine anything other than New Zealand being Lord of the Rings. So if you're in Spain, check out, you're in Conan territory. Schwarzenegger actually underwent intense training in swordsmanship and horseback riding for the role. The iconic musical score was composed by Basil Palarodis, and the production used over 1,000 extras to create the epic battle scenes. Obviously, if this film was going to be made these days, then they would be using CGI technology for that very reason, probably because they think it would be cheaper. There is a Star Wars link to Conan the Barbarian, and that is James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones plays the villainous Thallus Doom, the leader of a snake cult. Schwarzenegger performed many of his own stunts, and that helped showcase his physical prowess. The film's budget, though, was approximately $20 million. Now, in the early 80s, $20 million is a lot of money, and to be honest, in the 2020s, $20 million is still a lot of money. But I suppose if you adjust it for inflation, then you're looking at something probably in the region of $100 million if you want to measure it by today's metrics. The movie features several large scale sets, including the temple set. Schwarzenegger's physical appearance in the film was achieved through a strict bodybuilding regime, which was something that he would have been quite used to, given the fact that he was a bodybuilder. The character Valera, played by Sandila Bergman, was not in the original Conan stories, but they were created for the film, which happens quite a lot with movies. I think there's one or two characters with Lord of the Rings, for example, the Hobbit stories. They created a few elves that weren't actually in the original books, but Peter Jackson kind of wrote some of the characters in. So it's not unusual for characters to be woven into stories that are purely fictitious from the creator's perspective, so they're not canon. The film was a box office success, though, because it grossed over $130 million worldwide. And that is not bad a return for a film that was budgeted for $20 million. Now, Godzilla Minus One is in similar grounds, similar category to this, because Godzilla Minus One was made on a budget of under $15 million and has grossed approximately $100 million, if not more. And I just make the comparisons between an old film and a new film for the reason that it kind of shows that budget is not always everything. The iconic Wheel of Pain scene symbolized Conan's transformation from boy to warrior. The sword used by Conan in the film was designed by renowned sword maker Jody Sampson. Millis and Schwarzenegger became very close friends during the production of this film, and the film features a cameo by professional surfer Jerry Lopez as Sabutio, Conan's thief companion. The famous line, what is best in life, was inspired by a quote attributed by Genghis Khan. The movie's violent and dark tone set it apart from other fantasy films of the time. The role of Thulus Doom was originally offered, though, believe it or not, to actor Sean Connery, and I can't imagine Connery in this role. Kind of like I can't imagine Connery being in the Lord of the Rings films, but hey, he was actually offered a part in Lord of the Rings, and I think thankfully he turned it down. And that's not disparaging Sean Connery because I think he's a great actor, or was a great actor. He certainly played Bond really well. Um, but yeah, playing Thalos Doom, Sean Connery, I no, it's a no from me. So I'm quite pleased that they actually stuck with my memory's gone now. Um, Joan, uh, James Earl Jones, Darth Vader. How could I forget that? Schwarzenegger's accent and limited acting experiences were initially a concern for the filmmakers, but I feel that that's something that kind of adds to the story and the the f- the lovableness of the film, to be honest, because it became a cult classic for good reason, not just because of Schwarzenegger, but I think his acting early on in his career, he was developing himself as an actor after changing his profession from bodybuilder. Yeah, and it adds to the charm, doesn't it? It adds to the charm when you have somebody in that role. They've tried to remake this film. Let's put it this way: they've tried to remake Conan the Barbarian and the Destroyer with other actors, and it hasn't worked. And that's got to be part of the charm of the original is Schwarzenegger's limited acting experience from the first film. The film has influenced many numerous TV shows, as you would expect, with a special edition 30th anniversary edition of the film that was released on Blu ray in 2012. So we've obviously gone past 40th anniversary now. But Conan has spawned multiple sequels, comic books, well, it originated from a comic book as well, and video games, cementing its legacy in pop culture. Now, I remember as a child playing Conan on the BBC microcomputer, believe it or not, and at that time I thought it was an amazing game. So up next, then I'm going to move on to the sequel, which was Conan the Destroyer, which was released in 1984, directed by Richard Fleischer. Um, so Conan the Destroyer had a lighter tone compared to the original film, but it doesn't discredit it. I think sometimes movie makers, particularly with the Marvel universe, they want these films to be funny and humorous, but then they take away the credibility of the original and what made it a good film to begin with. Thor being the primary example. The screenplay for Conan the Destroyer was written by Stanley Mann, with the story being penned by Roy Thomas and Jerry Conway. The film was also shot in Mexico, utilizing locations like the Churubusco Studios in Mexico City. Grace Jones starred as Zula, a fierce warrior and ally of Conan. The role of Zula, though, was originally written for a male character. So there you go. Something else, really, that modern films could learn from. If you want a strong female character, just doesn't have to be written as a strong female character. You can just put a woman in it. As South Park said recently, put a chick in it, make her gay, or in this case, put a chick in it, make her strong, make her a decent character. Kind of like what they did with Ellen Ripley, which was originally going to be a male character. So I'm losing my train of thought here. The Wilt Chamberlain made his acting debut as Bombata, the bodyguard of Princess Gehenna. The character of Princess Gehenna was played by Olivia Adabo, and this was her first film role as well. So two actors going on to make their movie debuts. The film's budget was around $18 million, so about $2 million less than the original. I don't know why they decided to fund it with less. Perhaps they felt that they could do that with this one. So Marco returned to reprise his role as the wizard Akirio. The movie's tone was influenced by the success of lighter fantasy films like The Sword in the Stone. The action sequences were choreographed by legendary stunt coordinator Vic Armstrong, and the film features a memorable fight scene between Conan and a giant horned monster. Arnold Schwarzenegger was paid $3 million for his role in this sequel, and the sword used by Conan in the sequel was redesigned to look more menacing. The film was a moderate box office success, grossing over $31 million in the United States. The movie was also criticised, though, for its departure from the darker tone of the original film. It didn't stop it becoming a cult classic. The original script featured a love interest for Conan, but this subplot was cut from the final film, and the role of Bombata was written specifically for Wilt Chamberlain. The film's special effects were created by Carlo Rambaldi, known for his work on E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The movie was intended to set up a third Conan film, which was never produced, which is a shame. Now, there has been rumours on various channels that Conan is going to be remade and maybe Schwarzenegger is going to be returning as an older Conan. Um, is Schwarzenegger too old for the role? What do you think? You know, let me know one way or the other. Critics praised, though, Schwarzenegger's physical performance, but had mixed feelings about the film's tone. And Conan the Destroyer does still remain a fan favourite for its action sequences and unique characters. So, another film, a barbarian film that is rumoured to be getting a remake, set in the same universe as Conan, is Red Sonja. Now, I've heard various things from various YouTube channels that this film is in various stages of production, with casts being, actors being cast and locations being sought. But how close are we to a Red Sonja remake? I don't know. Would you go and watch a Red Sonja film? I would, if they stick to the original. The what they have to do with these remakes and reboots is stick to the original source, and you're not really going to go far wrong. So Red Sonja is actually based on the Marvel Comics character created by Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith. The character was inspired by Robert E. Howard's original creation from his Conan series. So that's probably why it worked, because it had the original writers involved and they wanted to create a spin-off. Arnold Schwarzenegger co-starred as Khalidor, a character similar to Conan but not officially named due to legal issues. So if they do have this character in Red Sonja, I really hope they sort out the legal issues, because you can't have Conan and not call him Conan as they did in this film. And I always found it strange that they never called him Conan, and now you know, because of legal issues. Bridget Nielsen was cast as Red Sonja after an extensive search for the right actress. This was Bridget Nielsen's first major film role. So again, the Conan series is offering first-time roles, debuts for actors, which is nice to see when they can carry off the roles. The movie was filmed on location in Italy, so they've moved from Mexico within this franchise back to Europe, including renowned Cineta Studios in Rome. The film's budget was estimated to be around $17.9 million, with Ennio Morricone composing the film's score, adding a memorable musical backdrop. Because when you make a film, you've got to get the film score right, otherwise it won't have the same effect. I think a lot of films, 50% of the film for me is the soundtrack. If you've got a good soundtrack, then you're going to have a good film, or at least you can forgive a bad film if the music can kind of draw you in as well. So the film screenplay was written by Clive Exton and George MacDonald Fraser. Shandley Bergman, who played Valera in Conan the Barbarian, appeared as the villainous Queen Gadrin. Bergman originally auditioned for the role of Red Sonja, but was cast as the villain instead. And that's one of those decisions that makes sense because you've got a villain or someone associated with the Conan universe, then you really need to put them in a different role if you're going to do that. Because this is a spin off, as I say, and that character didn't form. So, yeah, it makes sense to have the actress in there and change the role around a bit. The film received generally negative reviews from critics upon release, which is a shame because I quite enjoyed it. Now, despite the critical reception, Red Sonja developed a cult following over the years. And if you haven't seen Red Sonja, I do recommend that you get a copy of it and watch it, and then come and tell me what you think afterwards. The character of Kildor was initially intended to be Conan, but of rights issues prevented this. I did just mention that a second ago. The film was released by Metro Goldwyn Mayer MGM, which is now under the Amazon stewardship. So Amazon now own MGM Studios. So chances are, who knows, we could get a Conan the Barbarian or Red Sonja TV series or something like that. Arnold Schwarzenegger's role was initially going to be a cameo, but was expanded due to his popularity, with the production featuring elaborate sets, including a massive temple and various castles. The movie's special effects, though, included practical stunts and miniature models. So, again, they didn't have CGI like we've got in today's movie making, so everything had to be practical. Um, and I think we've lost something. We've lost some of the magic with films by relying too much on CGI. Nielsen and Schwarzenegger did many of their own stunts and fighting scenes. The film's tagline was "The She-Devil with a Sword." The movie was nominated for 3 Golden Raspberries, including Worst Actress for Nielsen, which is a shame. But then that's how it goes, isn't it? A lot of these films will be a cult film because of various reasons. I mean, you have to ask yourself, how did Blade Runner do so poorly at the box office when you watch it and you consider the time that it was made in, but then it was up against E.T. Um, so it's a shame because I don't think Red Sonja is that bad a film. For it to be included in the Raspberries is possibly a little bit of an insult, if I'm honest. The character of Red Sonja has been portrayed in various comic book series since the film's release, and it really is a character that fans love. Plans for a remake of Red Sonja, though, have been in development for a number of years, and the movie's costume design was influenced by traditional fantasy and medieval styles. Red Sonja remains a notable example of the 1980s sword and sorcerer genre, which is true. It is, and it fits in nicely with the Conan movies. It's one of those films that I'm not sure deserves or should be remade by for a modern audience, because we know where that leads to. Another Conan, not Conan, but give it to you. Another barbarian movie that is one of my favourites is The Beastmaster, and if you haven't seen The Beastmaster, then why not? Um, it's been it's spawned various sequels, a TV series as well, so very much in the same line as Conan with regards to popularity. So The Beastmaster was based on a novel, so we're going from comic books to novels now, by Andre Norton, although the film significantly deviates from the source material. The movie star Mark Singer as Dar, the Beastmaster. Now, Mark Singer was quite a popular actor in the early 80s. He was also in a very classic TV series called V. So, have you seen V? If you haven't seen V, again, let me know in the comments. Tanya Roberts co-starred as Kira, Dar's love interest. Now, Tanya Roberts was also a Bond girl, so they certainly knew how to pick their leading ladies. The film's villain, Max, was played by Rip Torn, and it's probably one of his most iconic roles, to be honest. Rip Torn was in another film which celebrated 20 years this year, and that was Dodgeball. I quite like him as an actor. I found he's just got a general persona on screen that I, I, I just like. I think he's a great actor, or was a great actor. The Beastmaster was directed by Don Coscelli, known for the Fantasium series, and the movie was filmed in various locations in California and Nevada. with a budget of around $9 million. The animals featured in the film included ferrets, a black panther, and they were trained specifically for their roles. The Black Panther in the film was actually a tiger dyed black, and you wouldn't get away with that in today's movie making, would you? The movie screenplay was written by Don Cosella and Paul Pepperman. The Beastmaster was released by MGM, so again, another franchise that Amazon have got their paws on. And will they develop this into something? I don't know. As I say, it has spawned TV series and spin offs alike. So, will MGM grab this film and do something with it? Who knows? The film's special effects included practical animal interactions and in camera tricks. And yeah, the way that they trained the animals for this film is quite unique, actually. They've done a really good job, and they again, without the ability of using CGI, you had to have these animals perform these tricks and acts, as it were. And they did that with great success. I think it would be fair to say that Beastmaster is one of those films that has stood the test of time because it hasn't relied on special effects. It's got practical effects, and so it hasn't really dated. Some of the styles, maybe some of the imagery, may have changed over the years. You probably look at it and think, yeah, it's got an aesthetic of an 80s film, but overall, it hasn't really dated that badly. Mark Singer's performance was is pretty good. He really takes on the role of Dahl, and also he performed most of his own stunts and the fight scenes. The film was followed by two sequels and a television series, and the movie score was composed by Lee Holdridge. The character design and costumes were heavily influenced by other popular fantasy films of the era, with Rip Torn's performance as Max. That was noted for its intensity and eccentricity. As I mentioned earlier, Rip Torn he's perfect for the role in this film. The film's original theatrical release was met with mixed reviews from critics, but despite its initial reception, The Beastmaster has become a beloved cult classic. The film features several memorable scenes, including the rescue of a child from human sacrifice using an eagle. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you do. The Beastmaster is often cited as an inspiration for other fantasy films and television shows. And as I say, once you've seen it, you'll understand why. So there you go. That's this episode and this week's show over with. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to be back on Wednesday. Try and be back on Wednesday for some more regular lives. So thank you very much for your time. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this episode, then please leave a comment in the box below. And also get in touch with me. You can follow me on TikTok, Clapper, and YouTube as well. I look forward to you reaching out and give me some guidance on what content you want me to create. I enjoy doing this, so I'd enjoy it more if you guys interacted and just told me what you think. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll be back next week. Take care. Right, how do I switch this thing off? Yeah. I want to switch this off.